Welcome to Gapology Radio with your hosts Mark Tinas and Brian Brokoff, authors of the leadership development books Gapology, IMBAR, and Speed of Purpose. At Gapology, our purpose is to help leaders achieve their greatest potential. To learn more about our groundbreaking books and training services, visit our website, gapology.org.
Hey everybody, welcome to Gapology Radio. If you have a new or inexperienced leader on your team that's struggling to adjust to their role as a people leader, consider sharing your knowledge of Gapology. We found it to be very common to see someone who excels as an individual contributor, but struggle once they get promoted to a leadership role. The new role has very different responsibilities, and if they're left to their own devices without leadership training, they may flounder, resulting in frustration and even chaos. Set them up for success by sharing Gapology. Provide them with the book or Audible version, and assign them our video-based e-learning course on udemy.com. You can find links to all of this on our website, gapology.org. And as for tonight, this was a bit of a different conversation when Mark dug in a little bit on some of the discoveries that I've had over the past couple of years around Gapology, as I've conducted workshops and coaching sessions with our recent clients. It was an interesting conversation, and I think you'll get a lot out of it as you apply Gapology to your own business. So let's go ahead and jump right in with Mark Tinas. Hey, Mark, how are you doing?
Good, Brian. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. You know, we've been so busy lately. The last few weeks, I've been out training Gapology, teaching these workshops. And, it's really been an amazing experience working with these different leaders from different organizations. It's just been such a joy for me to do, but I've also learned a lot as well.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
The feedback that we've gotten. Well, I saw you are now an Instagram star, of course.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
You look good, by the way.
Yeah, I dressed up that day.
Well, I'm sure Joe picked that out, but it looked good.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. You would never let me just do it.
I'm so proud that you are changing the world and you're out there teaching Gapology, and it's really significant. But seriously, I'm very, very proud of the work you're doing. I get a lot of feedback from your clients, and they talk to me about how much they've learned and how the sessions you've done have impacted their results. Mm-hmm. And it's just been significant. I'd really like to talk about that tonight if you'd let me.
Okay. Yeah, no, that sounds good. I've definitely learned stuff myself about Gapology, which is kind of weird. We've been doing this for 15 years, and every time, you go into a workshop, you kind of think, okay, so here's my deck. Here's the activities we're going to do. This is going to be the conversation points. And you kind of have it all in your mind. And then what I always find is that the workshop always flows much differently than what I'll even lay out, just because there's always great interaction and great conversation and different viewpoints and so forth. So yeah, I'd love to share some of the things that I picked up.
Well, I think let me comment on that. I think I've had the same experience where Gapology has far exceeded my expectations. I think I told you the story about the guy that I'm teaching a Gapology session to a group in Denver, Colorado, and the guy jumps out of his chair. One of the participants, he jumps out of his chair. I'm not kidding about jumping. He jumps out of his chair and he dances around the room and begins screaming, "Gapology is a universal truth." And he screams it over and over again. And then he sits down and participates. And I always thought he was just like a nut. But you know what? He was right. He was right. I've come to conclude he was right. He could see something in it that I couldn't even see at the time. So when you say you've learned a lot about Gapology by teaching it over and over and over again, I understand that. And it's a universal truth. And it's, I can't explain it, but he was right.
Yeah.
He was way ahead of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's a unique way to look at it. It's not just a book. It's not just a concept. These are real actionable things that people can do that do change lives. And when you think about the phrase universal truth, that it just makes you look at it differently. It can be applied at any level, any organization. It's really incredible.
Yeah. So let me ask you some questions then. How's that?
Okay, sure.
So you've been out delivering Gapology workshops to a number of different organizations this year in a number of different fields. What have you learned? What have you learned about Gapology?
Yeah, it's a great question. I always feel like I always take stuff away from the individual sessions, and it's always different. And really, I would actually back it up even the last 2 years. So last year, just kind of going back to last year, we really almost I consider embedding ourselves within an organization. There was an organization we worked with that was incredibly connected with Gapology. In fact, actually, we had Chet Enton on the program from that company. So anybody can go back and listen to that and hear some of the things he said. In fact, he and I are going to get together and record another episode. But as far as what I took away from that is that it really works. First of all, it works everywhere. I think just any company, any organization, as long as you have people and you have leaders, it works. It works at all levels. It doesn't matter if you're an executive, if you're an owner of a company, if you're a senior level, mid-level, even especially with emerging leaders, it really works well with them. And even individual contributors that are looking to do more, it works at all levels because all these, like you said, it's a universal truth. So it really does apply to any sort of role, as long as you have, a team that's working for you. But the other piece is that it also works in that individual contributor role when you reflect on yourself and what you're contributing, the things that you're doing, within your peer group, within colleagues, even at home. But yeah, so I think that's really the biggest thing. It just has a profound impact on people's lives. They start to see their world differently. They start to see their roles differently, how they interact within their peer groups and colleagues. It's just amazing how, just this process that we, assembled from what we learned by the interviews that we did and so forth, how it really has transformed lives. So, I'd say that. The other piece I'd say is it's always interesting to see what elements creates an impact. So it's different for everybody. I'll go to one workshop and people will be jumping out of their chairs about the habit ladder. And then I'll go to the next workshop and they're jumping out of their chairs about T times M equals P. So you never know. You never know what's going to connect to individuals. And, it's very contagious, I'd say. So within an organization, one person learns it and then they really get into it and they start teaching their peers, their colleagues about Gapology. And it really does spread. As we've discussed several times on the show, we're really terrible at marketing. But the nice thing about Gapology is it's contagious. So, the growth that we've had, especially over the last couple of years, it's been primarily word of mouth.
Yeah, we haven't really tried to market Gapology. So I think that's
right.
we sort of want it to do it on its own. And I like that. But let me recap what you said. So it works everywhere. That's a huge statement. When I think about that, I think about it worked in every business we've ever, come in contact with. It works in churches. It works in nonprofit. It works in government. You just go down the list. It just works everywhere.
Right.
The other thing you said is it works at all levels. That's huge. I don't know of anything that does. That's just crazy. Think about that. So the owner, president, chief executive, whatever, benefits immensely from Gapology. And it works all the way down to the lowest levels in an organization as they learn it. So it works at all levels. And then you said that it impacts individual lives. So people take it home and they apply it to their life in different ways, and it works there as well. We have so many success stories from that. So that's incredible.
Yeah.
And then you said that what people get from it, there may be a piece of Gapology that they connect with more than others. The habit ladder has been, enormously successful. We know that PepsiCo made that a worldwide standard for them. And I use habit ladder all the time. It just works. It's like somebody's got an issue. Okay, let's go to the habit ladder. It's all right there. One thing you don't know, I don't know if I've talked to you about it too much. I've been on the side teaching young athletes T times M equals P. Have I talked to you about that?
Yeah. Yep.
So talent times mindset equals performance, which simply means that the mindset of an individual is equal to their talent. So if they get their mindset right and they have talent, wow, performance soars. And I can tell you that T times M equals P, which is part of Gapology, is incredibly impactful on the lives of the young athletes that I've been teaching that to. In fact, I'm fully aware of one that recently won the huge tournament they were in all divisions. And the main focus was T times M equals P. So it's crazy, but Gapology simply works everywhere and works at all levels. And there are a number of different things in Gapology that will work for you,
right?
For whoever.
Yeah.
So, and, I'm just so proud of the work you've done, because you've spread that to thousands and thousands of people and have impacted their business, their lives, whatever they were involved in. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. That means a lot.
So let me move on here. So, is there anything else you want to describe in terms of the impact that Gapology has had on organizations? If you were talking to a group of leaders right now, what would you tell them with regard to the impact that you would expect Gapology would have on their organization?
Yeah. So it really does depend on your business. Without giving away actual numbers and that kind of thing, what I would say is the impact comes from how you see your business. The biggest thing that I've seen is just the awareness that there's this mirror out there that we talk about on the podcast all the time that the leaders must look into if they want to change their business. As we walk through the Gapology model, we describe how they need to look at knowledge gaps, importance gaps, and action gaps, and who owns each of those gaps. And the number one thing that people run up to me at the end of these things and say that's changed how they see their business is the fact that they own those gaps. They own closing the knowledge gap. If your team doesn't know what to do or how to do it, we own that as leaders. If your team doesn't know why or when they need to do something, that importance gap, we own that. If they're not taking action, sure, we need to pass the baton, have them, empower the team to take action. But there's elements there, those root solutions, we still own those root solutions. And the leaders, that is the number one thing. When they say, when I ask them, how's it impacted your business? That's what they say is, it's impacted my behavior, the things that I do. It's much different how I see my business, how I see the teams that I lead, how I see my customers even. I've had that comment that, they close gaps with their customer relationships. If you're looking to move any needle on any metric, you need to just kind of back up and understand that behaviors are driving those metrics, and it's the leader's responsibility to impact the behaviors of their team, improving them. And Gapology is just a great method to do so.
Wow.
Sorry,
I
was
guess
that
that won't fit. I
long-winded?
guess that, well, it won't fit on a t-shirt, damn it.
No, probably not.
So the leader's behavior may be the biggest impact of gapology. Then
Oh
it
yeah,
changes the leader.
absolutely.
And because the leader changes, it
Mhm.
changes everyone else, and therefore it changes the organization, and therefore it changes all the results. So
Right.
the leader changes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
really
think
the
that is
leader's
true.
it's really the leader's identity and mindset. And it's from Imbar, our other book. It's how they see themselves. That changes with Gapology.
Yeah.
And from that, they start thinking differently. They start behaving differently. It just kind of creates that momentum that the leaders need to improve and grow.
I mean, you have an amazing perspective. So, for any of you that wouldn't know, Brian has spent up to a year. Would that be accurate? With an organization
Yeah. Yep.
teaching gapology. So,
Mhm.
when you spend a year, and I've done that as well, when you spend a year with an organization and with those leaders, the change in those leaders is truly unbelievable. The greatest leaders, by the way, teach gapology down through the organization. They
Mhm.
don't just keep it to themselves, they teach it.
Right.
They teach it. God, when Brian and I were first rolling this out before the book was written, every day we were teaching it. What were those things called that I used to pull out of the wall? Flip charts.
Yeah, the flip chart. I used to pull out of the
I would say,
wall.
Brian, get an easel, get a
Yeah, yeah,
flip
yeah.
chart.
Get a flip chart.
I
Yep.
need some black markers. And we would gather the team around and we would teach gapology.
Yep.
And results would just soar, whatever we were going after.
hmm
So yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
That
No,
was a great
flip charts
answer.
are one of my favorite things, and I know you love whiteboards. I
Well,
love
I'm a
flip.
whiteboard guy now because I've evolved
Yeah, I haven't
beyond
evolved.
flip charts. Come
Nope.
on.
I'm still in the Stone Age. I love the just the ripping of the paper and sticking it up on the wall and whatever. I struggled with it last week. I was teaching a workshop last week and I had the sticky kind of flip charts and I flip it over and it gets stuck to each other but I love that thing, man. I think I filled up 5 pages of it. Just impromptu, just ideas would come to mind as we're going through and talking about things. I just love that tactical, I guess you call it,
Yeah.
feel
I
of
mean,
that. So,
we were doing workshops live and
oh
in
yeah,
person with people standing there in front of a flip chart. It
yep,
worked.
right,
It
right,
worked.
right, right, for sure.
So if I was starting an organization today, not me, but someone, was starting an organization today, and I don't know about gapology. It's not part of my being at this point. What would you recommend? How would I go after gapology if I was starting today? What
Hmm.
tools would I use? What would I do?
Uh, yeah, so that's a great question. So we have a lot of tools available. I mean, a lot of tools. So first of all, I guess the first thing I would say is, just start with the fundamentals. Read the book. That's the number one thing. If you're not a
So
reader,
let's just pause there for a minute. So some people struggle today with reading books. Um, do you have any recommendations there? So could they segment out 15, 30 an hour per day to read Gapology? What do you have any best methods there for reading the book?
yeah. So there's 4 key sections to the book. We have the introduction, which that alone, just reading just the introduction, will change your life.
And the
if
executive summary. What if they did the introduction and the executive summary? They would fully understand
Yeah,
Gapology. What do you think? How would you go after it?
yeah. So if you have the book, I say read the book. If you're going to share it with your team, you could take segments from the executive summary, I think is a good way to do it. Or if you're going to go back and refresh your memory on some things, the executive summary is great for that. but I would read the whole, like the actual book, because the stuff that's missing there is some of the kind of fun stuff to read. And I was getting compliments last week about how fun it was to hear the introductory story that you have in the foreword, where is it called the foreword? Forward, where it's Maddie in the Marriott ballroom, and it's that whole story. People get a lot out of that stuff too, and that's not in the executive summary. So, if you can, I would do that.
Let me tell the group about that, because they may not know. So we wrote the book so the chapter by chapter is sort of a classroom instruction on Gapology. But in order to bring it to life, every chapter then has a story about Maddie and how she used what we just taught you in classroom instruction to make it real. So we tell a very short story about Maddie's career and how it was impacted by that chapter of the book. So we did that on purpose so that it would be real to you, the reader. And we started with the introduction, which introduces her career, and then her career comes to life and her success comes to life through each chapter. Does that sound right?
Right. Yep.
So it's unique in that respect. So we wrote it on purpose rather than to be a textbook from Harvard, from MIT. We wanted it to be something that everyone could connect with. And it's easy to connect with Maddie. And the Maddie stories are real, by the way. So when you read through them, understand that's reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the number one questions I get is Maddie real? Every time, every single time I get that.
We keep her hidden.
Right. Oh, geez. No, don't say that.
We changed the names to protect the innocent.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We try and make each chapter real. Real. Like you can do that chapter today. So if a reader was to focus on a chapter a week, Brian, would that work?
Yeah, I would say so. If they focus on, and it's not hard to read. I think even people that aren't readers, they can pick it up and they could read a section at a time. Read the introduction, then read the knowledge gap, then read the importance gap, then read the action gap, then read the next steps. You can segment it in that method, and get through it pretty quickly.
Okay.
That's what I normally do.
Okay.
But if you're really not a reader, we do have the Audible version as well. So audiobook on Audible. Listen to it in your car, listen to it on your way to work, listen to it in sections. That's another great way to go through it. In the session I did last week, I asked who's read the book, and people raise their hands. Probably half the people raise their hands, and then I asked who's gone through the Audible book. And it seemed like it was more than half. It was like some of the people read it and then went back and did the audiobook too. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So the thing I think that's misunderstood there would be that when you listen to a chapter on Audible and you listen to that chapter again on Audible, you literally may hear it quite differently. It is, Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
It's something that you listen to over and over again. And as you evolve and learn, how you heard the chapter is different. You hear different things. You have a context that's different, and it changes your execution in many ways. So the Audible version listened to many, many times over can actually be incredibly effective in improving your performance.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And in fact, where I see people struggle sometimes with these things is when only one method is used to expose themselves to Gapology. So if they only read the book and that's it, what they learn is very limited. It's only pieces that they take away. But if they read the book and then listen to the audiobook, they'll take away more. Or if they read the book and then listen to these podcasts or read the blogs that we put out, or even if they take that and then they go and they do the Udemy course, the video-based short form content e-learning thing that we put out on udemy.com. if they read the book and then do that, what it does, it really enhances what they've read in the book. It brings it to life. And when they're only exposed to just one thing, that seems to be where, their learning suffers there, and it becomes more of, I don't know, it's not in context. There's just not enough context there to make it real.
Yeah, I think I told you about the time I was walking down the aisle of an airplane and I'd gone to the restroom, and there was a guy sitting in the aisle seat with Gapology on his little table there, and it had post-it notes sticking out all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what's this book here? What is this?
Yeah, that's right.
He said, it's Gapology. He said, it's incredible. It's changed my life. He said, these post-it notes are the things I keep having to go back to, to drive, my business, but it's been incredible. My business has improved dramatically. And I didn't let him know who I was or anything.
Mm-hmm.
What I conclude about him is, if he would have had access to an example of Audible and
Mm-hmm.
could listen to it in his car as he drove, from location to location, potentially he would have been more effective. And his method of going after it was really old school, and there's so much more there. So there's so many ways to go after it. So,
Right.
we teach it in workshops. It's available on Audible. It's on Udemy. You have to figure out for your organization what works and how to cascade it down through organizations, different levels. Well, tell us about how people can get in contact with us and learn more. What are the best methods of getting a hold of us? I mean, I'm available to speak with groups whenever. I can speak with leaders on the phone, on Zoom, whenever they would need me. What are their best methods of getting a hold of us?
Yeah, so we really have one kind of central contact point. It's on our website. You can click the contact link there, but just send us an email to contact@gapology.org. Everything kind of comes into a central thing. My wife, Julianne, she pulls that up. She monitors that for communication from clients and that kind of thing. So just send us an email.
So say it again.
Yes. So it's contact@gapology.org. That's our email. But you can find out all the information on our website, gapology.org. There's links to everything there, to so we have the free stuff too. So, we've got, our blogs on there that we base off of what we talk about here on the podcast. So go there. There's a lot of great stuff that you can share with your teams. But everything's on our website. Just, head over to gapology.org for all of that.
Wow. Okay. So it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
And we would love to communicate with you. We're open to speaking to your group, your organization. We're available. So, and it's an amazing experience for us. And Brian has done an amazing job of impacting thousands of people easily. I don't know if I say tens of thousands recently, maybe thousands anyway. We're here for you.
Absolutely.
Close it out for us, Brian.
Yeah. No, I think, that's a great way to end it, Mark. We are here for you. This is our passion project that we do. It's really our purpose, helping leaders achieve their greatest potential. That's what we're all about. We're here to help. So reach out, send us an email, and we'll contact you.
Yeah. So our purpose, if you didn't hear him, is helping leaders achieve their greatest potential. Is that correct?
That's right.
And that's what Gapology's all about. And we're here for you. Thanks, Brian, for all you do.
And thank you, Mark.
Thanks to Joe as well for supporting you.
Yep.
I know that's a big part of it, and really appreciate it. And you're having a great impact.
Yeah. Thanks so much. And thanks for all you do as well, Mark. We're a good team. So I appreciate everything you do.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right. That'll do it from here. For more information on Gapology, head on over to our website, gapology.org. Everyone have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been a Gapology Institute production. Visit us at gapology.org.